Hey everyone, Browns thoughts here, off the Mike Sports Network, Week 7. The Browns are 1-6. They've lost 5 in a row. Um, and this one feels a little bit different because normally I would come on here and I would, bury the offense, bury Deshaun Watson, and bury this team. Um, but in the second quarter of this game, Deshaun Watson, he completed 15 to 17 passes for 128 yards. Um, but when the offense started to cook a little bit, Deshaun Watson goes back for a design run. His leg buckles, and you can clearly see on the replay that his calf popped. He tore his Achilles. He ruptured his Achilles tendon. He's done for the season. Um, and listen, I've rated on and buried Deshaun Watson on this channel and on Brown's Thoughts for the entire season. He's not a good guy. What he is alleged to have done and been accused of in multiple lawsuits is reprehensible. The way he has played quarterback for the Cleveland Browns has been appalling. But you hate to see an injury like that. And you could see the emotion from him. He was really distraught. He gets carted off. He's crying. So, listen, I understand fans like getting really frustrated, but if you're going to be one to cheer an injury, I understand the human in terms of like he's a bad guy. He hasn't delivered for your football team. But at some level, you got to be a human being. I know Deshaun Watson's done some really bad things in his life, but it's just like there's a time and a place to bury a quarterback and to bury an athlete in certain things. When he ruptures his Achilles and he can't walk and he has to get carted off the field, that's just where I draw the line. Like I said, I wish him well. I did not like the way he was playing this season. I don't like that the team invested in him, but you hate to see the season end like that. Like, I wanted them to bench him so that something like this wouldn't happen, because you want it to be that he gets out of the lineup and you go to a backup quarterback because of performance, because that's what this was all about. To have to do it under these circumstances is what makes this really, disheartening and really it's kind of unsettling for me, because I'm really conflicted, because I do not like this guy. I do not like the way he has performed over 3 years with this team. But to see it happen like that, and more than likely his Browns career is over. The guy's going to be 30 years old pretty soon. I think he just recently turned 29, or he's going to be 30 relatively soon. He's already had multiple ACL tears. He had a significant shoulder injury. He sat out for a couple of years. This was really the last injury that you could afford to have. An Achilles tear at this stage of your career, especially when you're not playing well and you're a quarterback. It's hard for me to see Deshaun Watson playing another down of football for the Cleveland Browns, let alone in the NFL, to be honest with you. It's just like the only thing really saving him at this point is the contract that's being invested to him. But clearly, the Browns were laying the groundwork going into this game by moving DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, up to play in the second spot, because there was a lot of hints on social media that Deshaun Watson would have a short leash, and Deshaun was not playing well, even though he only had 2 incompletions. It was a bunch of checkdowns. It was not a good game for this offense again. It was not pretty. Nick Chubb did score on the drive that Deshaun Watson got hurt, but this team's 1-6, man. They've lost 5 in a row. They haven't won a game at home. They haven't won since that Jacksonville game. You could make the argument that they could honestly be 0-7 right now. There's a lot of problems with this team. The defense played well for a half, and then they couldn't get a stop in the second half. They gave up a couple touchdown drives. Special teams completely failed in this game, missed extra point, and a missed field goal from Dustin Hopkins, and they give up a kickoff return to start the game. I mean, look, let's give you guys an example here of just, how disappointing this loss is. The Browns actually outgained the Cincinnati Bengals in this game. This is hard to believe. They ran 24 more plays. They were better on third down. They were historically bad on third down. They go 8 for 19 on third down. They had more first downs in this game. But what it comes down to, 2 picks in this game, both by DTR. Just the product of the fact that the guy hasn't played. I appreciate them, giving him a chance to try and succeed and see what they are. But it's clear as day that the Browns quarterback is probably not on this roster right now. It's not Jameis Winston, even though Jameis Winston ended up leading them to a touchdown near the end of the game in relative garbage time to make this at least somewhat interesting and coming up to an onside kick. But yeah, I mean, they had to play 3 quarterbacks in this game. And now you go into a game next week against Baltimore. It's just like, I don't see a ton of optimism coming with this team. And I think some of this, what needs to be pointed out, and not to really, bury Deshaun Watson, but he is the symptom of a lot of what has caused this dysfunction with this organization, because they went to the playoffs last year and they changed the whole damn offensive staff. Offensive line coach isn't there. Running back coach isn't there. Tight ends coach is different. Like, you change the whole offensive staff. You bring in a new offensive coordinator. They're running so much shotgun offense. You saw the disconnect between the offense and Nick Chubb, because they're running a bunch of shotgun runs. That's not Nick Chubb's specialty. He's better at run when the quarterback's under center. Listen, this team is going to have a really bad season. I mean, I've been resigned to that for several weeks. But man, it's just you outgain, like, a lot of the statistical things. They had better time of possession, but it's the 2 turnovers with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They had a turnover on downs when they had a good drive to start the second half. It's just it did not end well for them. And the Bengals, like, this is shocking. Joe Burrow, that's his first win in Cleveland. That's his first win in Cleveland Brown Stadium, Huntington Bank Field, First Energy Stadium, whatever it's been called in the last 5 years. But yeah, really disheartening. And like I said, this is the end of the Deshaun Watson experiment in Cleveland. Like, it's over. Like, I would have liked for it to have ended due to performance and not have this really just, like, really devastating, very obvious, debilitating injury in a torn Achilles, which is gonna all but be confirmed. Like, it's every report, and like, when you can identify an injury as clear as day, like that one, you just know. And it's, like I said, leave the deplorable stuff and the bad quarterback play out of this. On a human level, you hate to see an injury like that. If you were one of the fans cheering it, it's just like that. There's no place for that. Even as disgraceful of a human being as he is, it's just like, I can't believe I'm going to make this comparison. It's like when Donald Trump got COVID, like when he was the president in the United States. Like, me and my sister, we don't like Donald Trump. And if you like Donald Trump watching this video, it's like, okay, like, but we were not wishing for him to die. Okay, so it's one of those things where, as a human being, you've got to support the people even when a debilitating thing comes. Yes, he has not been good. Yes, the allegations against him, against all those women, have been impossible for me to look past, and I shouldn't have even tried to even think that I can endorse that any of this was going to be okay. But peeling that back, the season's over. His time as the Cleveland Browns quarterback. Here's a crazy stat for y'all. It feels like 6 is the magic number. This was his 7th start this season, but he had 6 starts in 2022 because of suspension. He had 6 starts in 2023 before he got injured, through a bunch of injuries as well. And then he obviously had the 6 starts plus having part of this game, a 7th game. And ultimately, it's 18, 19 games that you get out of him. But I just don't see him playing another down for the Cleveland Browns. It's just wild. But yeah, the injuries and just, a lot of the baggage and just the poor play are really going to be what sinks this team. And really, I can get into arguments with people until I'm blue in the face about this. Deshaun Watson is the big reason why this offense has struggled when he was on the field and off the field. Like, there is so much disconnected with this offense in terms of, the type of routes they're running, the type of concepts they're running, all these shotgun plays. Like, this is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And this team went 11-6 last year and went to the playoffs, and they changed the whole fucking offensive staff after Joe Flacco had a freaking historic 5-6 game run with this team. So I understand that, hey, Joe Flacco wasn't going to be your quarterback going into this season, but you didn't need to change the offense. maybe the quarterback was the problem. And they sold their soul. I saw Jeremy Schaap for Sports Reporters did a great thing where, yeah, they basically sold their soul, and that's why they changed the offense. That's why they changed a lot of the schemes. Offensive line coach left to go be with his son. I don't think Bill Callahan was going to fix a lot of this bad offensive line play. Jed Wills still stinks. Like, a lot of this offensive line play has been bad, and the offensive line play under Bill Callahan wasn't much better. They were giving up sacks last year. It's worse, but I don't think that's the problem. They changed a lot of the pass blocking, and like it's not a cohesive offense. They don't have an identity. They don't run the ball as well as they used to. Like, it's not the same team, and it's not the same offense that Kevin Stefanski ran for the previous few seasons that he was the head coach and won a 2-time coach of the year. And do I think, and I've said this before, do I think this is going to lead to a wholesale change? The injury to Deshaun Watson might, leave an out for Kevin Stefanski to potentially keep his job, because I still think he's a really good coach. I think a lot of this is just like is bad personnel because of the trade. Some of it's just like, the scheme changes and the coaching changes that really weren't needed. The quarterback not performing well. Kevin Stefanski has not had a good year. Let's not mistake that for anything. But we'll see how this team is able to rally now, basically on the strength of a backup quarterback, and now at 1-6 on the season, and really no hope in hell. Like, they already have as many losses through 7 games as they had all of last season. That's how bad this team is. And, the defense has held up its end of the deal, but then they couldn't get stops in the second half. They gave up 2 touchdown drives. Deflating loss. It really stinks. And, we'll see where the rest of the season goes and see what these guys are made of, or if this team's destined to pick number 1 in the 2025 NFL draft and they're picking another quarterback. I think that's where this thing is headed. So that's Brown's thoughts for now. I'll talk to you guys real soon. We'll have more throughout the week. As we know, the season now without Deshaun Watson is definitely going to be very, very interesting to see if they can find a way with a full week to prove that Jameis Winston or DTR are the future of this team, or they're going to be drafting a Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, Carson Beck, whoever in the 2025 NFL draft. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.